I'm so honored and thankful that you've all taken the time to come and chat to us today about the film. So thank you, first of all. I have lots I want to talk about, but I think it would be great for our audience here and also our audience on YouTube for you to introduce yourselves first with your responsibility and, you know, perhaps the character you played in the film. Buddy, should we start with you?
I'm Buddy Ball. I'm the film creator. This is part of a ongoing series that we've been doing, so this is a one-off. A lot of this is, I use a lot of these stories. I start with writing, and then I visualize. So, like with this, I go for specific feelings. So that's my role. My role is just envisioning and executing.
Great. And Puck?
He's mute.
Okay. Well, thank you. Brilliant introduction, Puck. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, only in smiling emojis. No, that's brilliant. Banshu?
Wait, real quick. I should actually just give. He's sort of the co-producer. I should actually just state that. He helps with whenever I'm writing these scripts out. He's one of the main people that checks over them.
Oh, huge role. Great.
Hi, I am Banshu. I play Salty, and I enjoyed my time.
Awesome.
So hi, I'm Pico. I play Aqua, I believe. I was a latecomer in this film. First film I did with Buddy. Very nerve-wracking when I first met Buddy. But yeah, it was an amazing time filming, acting, and yeah.
I'm Ethan. Ethan Legui from the film, obviously. I played Aqua. It was a great time on set, obviously. But I've been with Buddy's crew for a while now, since we started with his other projects. Pretty much. But yeah, I really enjoy working with Buddy, and I hope everyone enjoyed the film.
Yeah, lovely. Well, it's so nice to have you all here. Thank you again. And I love the applauses that we've received for each of you too. You absolutely deserve it. I really want to talk about the performances today. But I want to talk about just the opening of the film and the kind of the language that you've managed to craft in the film too, because I think it's extremely unique in the way that you've told this story. And I think initially the film has such an enticing opening. I feel we're swept into this colorful field to discover an inner dialogue of this person going through, you know, what feels like an extremely lonely time until that inner dialogue is completely interrupted by someone else. And I feel like the language that goes somewhere which is really surprising and really interesting and engaging. So to start with, I'd love to just hear about what made you decide to kind of create the film in this form of storytelling and use subtitles in this way, and what do you enjoy about making films in this way?
So that's just in relation to like the text boxing, right? Just so I understand. Yeah, with it started as a limitation with although it was a style thing, but it was also it was a failsafe because it's like I've said, it's a series. So if you have characters in one episode, like we couldn't guarantee at the time that we could keep having voice actors that would be able to play the same role. So my solution at the time was to do text boxing, and I think this film is probably one of the best in terms of its use of it, because of the fact that the way I wrote it, there was actually there's the script, sometimes there's changes mid-set, and then there's post. I can change it whenever I want. So that first scene was very important to me. I very much, whenever I wrote this, very much identified with the themes of loneliness. And so the thing that the text box makes you read. you have to, in a film, sometimes you're looking more at the visual language and or looking more at the music or other things. But whenever you have, like, if you watch like an anime and you have to watch with subtitles, you're paying very close attention to wording, instead of like most of your mind is looking at that because you're trying to understand what they're saying the story is. And so I wanted to take advantage of that more with this film in the way that, like, I wanted the wording to be specific in said in ways that if we did it via normal dialogue, it might have been harder to understand some of that subtext or some of the ways that things are phrased. And I thought in a way it almost makes it more natural. I think it makes you pay very close attention to these characters and how they're feeling.
Well, I think the timing of the words too, and how you've edited the subtitles, it's very intentional. I think the pacing is so brilliant in making it feel natural, in making kind of breathing the voices, into the audience's head. As I'm watching, I really feel their diction and their tone, which is really special and unique. And that's something that, when I was watching the film, also reminded me of the experience of playing a game. And the sound of their voices also reminded me of like Animal Crossing. Obviously, I don't know if that's a direct influence, but I was curious if there was any influences from games or anime, like you said, and what inspirations you had when making this film.
I think Animal Crossing is probably a subconscious influence. The biggest one is Deltarune and Undertale. Those games were, especially Undertale, just because that was more longer ago, just so fundamental to how I think it was one of the first games I really invested in a story, and it made me really think about how I didn't want to do things because of how it made characters feel. And even the little, how we, like, everyone has their headcanon voices for these characters, even though it's actually just ba 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 ba, it's like there's nothing there, but those samples they can evoke things, and sometimes they might even communicate certain bits of, like, they might communicate certain feelings better than even a voice could, just because your mind is filling in that gap.
I think I'm really curious to understand how you found the sound of each character. And I'm also curious if the cast knew the sound of their characters when performing too. Just out of curiosity. And I have another kind of follow-up question in that context too, but I'm curious about that first of all.
So I think which one was Salty? I think Aqua was your voice, Bon. I think it was using a sample from you.
Wait, what? What?
Oh, right.
Most of my samples, everything is made, well, not music, but like sound. A lot of the sounds, I try to have it all be like I do them, and so all the blips usually are my voice, just like heavily altered. So I think Aqua is Bon, and then one of our other actors, Kufi, I think her voice is Salty, but I might be mixing that up. But yeah, it's usually our actors. It's usually me or the actors that are playing those characters. I'll have them, like, before I would have them send me like a quick thing of them just making noise, and I would take part of it, reverse it, and blah 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 blah, and then you get the.
I see. Oh, that's brilliant. And I love the way that it sounds like it's somewhat surprising for some of you too. I love that. Now,
you never asked why I asked you to just make sounds?
You tell me what to do, I do
had to make noises and laugh.
Oh, well, I mean. So I have a bit of a follow-up question, kind of in the context for the actors. When you're, doing the, I just realised lights have gone off. We're having a moody Q&A today. When you're performing these scenes and, you know, capturing the footage for the film, do you actually speak the lines? Because obviously there's lip syncing, you're speaking.
Yes.
Are you actually saying them? I wonder
Yep.
if you can share what that's like, you know, the experience of being directed by Buddy Ball and actually speaking the lines.
Should I go first?
If you want. Go ahead. We might say the same thing.
So my experience with it was we do say the lines, like Buddy gives us a script and then we just go on and act it. But the way that, since we've been doing Buddy's like Camp Pollen series, we have like the overlay of like excess overlay or advanced overlay like on our heads, following our heads, and lower opacity, so we could still see who we're supposed to be talking to, but we also see the script, so we just on the go, we just act and read the lines and go as we go.
Oh,
We should do a
interesting.
few
I see.
rehearsals to get pacing down.
Yeah.
Because another thing with text boxing, when we were filming, now recently we stopped filming with that in mind, just because we're going for longer form content. But for these, the way that you can't have certain, I can't do what I just did right now, like where I paused. I can't do that when I deliver my line, because the way that works with now you've set a hard stop. And that for a lot of lines in text boxing, it can potentially cause a lot of issues, and that goes into like the intentional stopping you see in the film. Those are parts where I allowed them to do that, because certain other lines, if they stutter or other things, I mean, a normal film you have to redo it anyway, but with like this, even like natural pauses can be just, it could ruin it. Like it could make we have to go redo the shot.
Right, I see. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Kuma?
Another thing with the having to read it, we also have to make sure, well, basically what he just said, it has to be timed right. Because, like, if it's like one solid shot where you're doing a pan, like, you can't just have one person standing there not saying anything. It takes a bit to get used to, but it's pretty neat. I like it. I like doing it.
Oh yeah, good. And I think the cinematography and the kind of direction of the film is really fascinating, and I think really masterful. So I can definitely see the attention to detail there. Something I really love, and I think is part of the humor of the film, is the way the picture and the sound kind of roll on top of each other sometimes. We have these moments where the music will abruptly stop, due to the action of the scene. You know, I think of that moment where is this kind of beautiful romantic gaze between the two characters, and then it's suddenly kind of pulled away again. And I'm curious if what your direction was for that sort of rolling style in the edit, and what sort of feelings you were trying to evoke. It kind of made me feel like there was an anxiety built into the direction that's kind of reflective of the character, and I was curious if that was intentional, and just generally what your direction was in terms of the edit.
Well, for the first scene especially, one of the things that's introduced is, I'll state how it is in the script. Not you wouldn't know that the location that Salty's in is called the Field of Dreams, but it's supposed to be her safe space, like the place that she imagines in whenever she is feeling down, and it's her escape. And so it's supposed to be like, in the beginning it's isolating, and then we match cut that isolation, like she's surrounded by flowers, but she's identifying that it doesn't feel, she's not part of that. And then we match cut to her being in a city completely alone. And having that disjointedness, like it's a completely different locale, but the feeling is the same, not worse. And so the minute that she, oh, one sec. Am I back? Okay. This is close enough. The second that Aqua offers help or offers a kindness, a gesture of kindness as a complete stranger, just an act of goodwill. When you have that moment between the two, that's supposed to be the match cut is supposed to bring us Salty's being brought into. Not Salty. Salty is going in her safe space now. Aqua has been allowed into it. She's now she's seeing her in her safe space, in the place that she's supposed to feel, her positive area. And so the match cuts are supposed to be kind of like then her being pulled out of it and back into the moment. It's supposed to be more like a daydream.
I think that's beautiful. Like the wipes that you've done are so clean and so beautifully crafted as well. I'm sure there was a lot of time spent matching the action and color grading as well. I know that you, like Ariel in one of our previous conversations, are really interested in color grading, and I know you could probably speak for a while about how you treated the footage and got the sort of look that you wanted to get. Was that something that was important to you in post?
What I did is not near as much effort as Ariel. Ariel's is next level. Matching the anamorphic style is insane, and I pull off nothing near as awesome as that style. I think for me it was trying to make like certain area, like the Field of Dreams needs to feel colorful and alive, and yet there's kind of, I have to check again because my mind could be misremembering, but there's just like a coldness to it, and matching it with the immediate, more warm toned like environment in the city. It's very like brown and orange, like I don't know. I think when I did it, I don't think it really went beyond this feels right, because for me a lot of my editing is just I go for a feeling, and for this film it's that feeling you get at the kiss. That was when I wrote the entire script. That was the feeling I wanted, the feeling that I have tested before we released it, like tested and seen that it's gotten from people in the script. I wouldn't move on from it until I got that feeling across. And so with the coloring, I think it was just a similar thing where now I'm a little more meticulous because I've become more experienced since then. But with this film, it was definitely just a lot of it doesn't go beyond just, I think the most important thing from it was just feeling. Does this make the scene, does the coloring evoke the emotion that the characters are feeling?
Right. Well, I think you've achieved that, and I think I'm sure it's relatable to a lot of filmmakers too, in the way that an edit can be informed by just one scene a lot of the time, and you're always working to try and pay off that scene, typically the climax. So that rings at truth in many ways. I want to take it back to the cast, and I know you've already introduced yourselves briefly and maybe already answered this question, but I'm curious how Buddy Ball discovered you all. Were you friends prior? And what was appealing about this project? What was the thing that sold you on it and wanted you to be a part of it?
It was an epic battle. I see.
Right. Oh, okay. I see. Do you want to speak for Pug, Buddy Ball, or is that not possible? Pug,
I don't remember.
Okay. Great answer. Okay, well, Bonshu, let's move to you.
Well, when I first met Buddy, it's just like it. Since the very first time I was playing VR chat, I was introduced into a group, and Buddy was in that group. But ever since then, Buddy kept on introducing the idea of a story, and I always listened in, and I always loved it. I always loved the idea. But whenever he started recording, I was like cheering him on. I'm like, yes, I love this. I want more. And then I ended up becoming part of the cast, and a wonderful experience that has been.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, for me, mic working? Is it? No?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's
We
working.
can hear you.
Okay, okay. It's all lighting up. For me, I was randomly hanging with Bon. And she was like showing me some of like Buddy's like videos. Then we got into a like, hey, would you want to be a part of the cast or something on the line? Be like, hey, Buddy needs more actors or background actors. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll join in. I've done like 2 other projects before. Nothing with like voice acting. It's more like background acting. So introduced me. It was very awkward meeting Buddy for the first time. And yeah, now I'm a main actor for Buddy, and I'm absolutely loving it.
The funny thing is that I think he came in with the intention of being an extra, and I think so did I. But then he came on, and we had like something happen with one of our actors, so he just became. I was like, okay, here, I'm gonna send you a script, and then we just started working from that, and so he just immediately became Aqua, just like in the first scene when we were recording that. He just like right at the moment of the bump. That is the point where Pico started playing as Aqua, and he did a fantastic job. The very timid like way that the body language was just, even though that was just like his genuine body language, I think for the most part in the moment, it just worked, and it suited it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
When I think we knew each other before you started recording, doing the videos. I don't remember. It's been a really long time.
At the same time, yeah, I think it was like probably like a little bit. I was doing videos, but I hadn't started Camp Pollen.
Oh, okay. When I initially got involved with the recordings with Buddy, I had randomly joined off of one of my friends who was also in the world with Buddy while he was recording. I think it was one of the actors I joined off of. But when I started, it was in that recording session, the actor who one of the actors had to leave, and I offered to step in, and that's how it all started. It was, I think that was episode 2 I had to step in?
No, episode 1, we just had you, right? That's why I didn't remember, because he's been there since the beginning.
There you go. Well, thank you all for sharing. I love how organic it is. Typically, finding friends to collaborate with, especially in VR, and especially in VR chat. And so it's wonderful to hear just kind of accessible it can be. But sorry, Buddy, did you want to add something?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Well, something I really want to mention that you've already brought up in passing is that this film is part of a bigger world, I believe. And I would love to give you the opportunity to introduce to our audience here and audience on YouTube what is this bigger world and how can we see more of this?
So it's a project that has been in development for the past, I don't like doing the thing where it's like, this has been in development since the dawn of time, but it's been in development for 3 years now. It was 1 year of conceptualizing and me being like, I'm going to do this, and then like not doing it. And we're now on year 2 of actually doing it, and it's called Camp Pollen. It's a sort of dramedy indie web series that we started very much with a heavy skit comedy focus. But I always had the intention of building it up over time and sort of that thing where it's like, as elements happen, I wanted the idea of a comedy that ends up becoming a drama because of what we know of the characters. So it's supposed to be where we have these people that have connections, sometimes have issues, and just sort of a lot of mystery, and how a big focus on community. Like it's a general theme of that's what with this connection. We just finished filming a different film that I'm going to be very excited when it's done to show you, because I think you're really going to like it. We just wrapped on a film that has a mouthful name. It is called A Conversation Between Two People That Don't Matter. and it's very similar. It's a film about two people meeting that have a conversation, and both struggle with like existentialist, like they're both sad people for different reasons, but they find connection. So it's about the whole series is about like finding truth, finding hope, and finding people. And we actually I just finished. I just got up the IMDb page, so you can actually find it on there. It's on my channel, so it'll link through there. So if you go on my channel, Buddy Ball, you'll be able to find the playlist with it. If you look at the release schedule, it starts getting more and more spaced apart. That is because we went from making 2-minute episodes to 3-minute to 6-minute, back down to 3. And then our current episode we're about to start filming within the next few weeks is the script for it is 27 pages.
Well, there you go. Find Buddy Ball's channel and check out the rest of Camp Holland. I highly recommend it, and it sounds like it's only getting bigger. So now is a good time to catch up. I think now is a nice opportunity to go to audience questions. If anyone has any questions for the cast and director here, we'd love to hear from you. And if not, I always have more questions myself. If anyone has any questions, please come up. Do you have a question, Maria? Or are you just getting a better seat? I see. Fernanda?
Yeah, I was AFK for like 2 minutes. I don't know if it was answering, but since it's only text-based, you can pretty much have any language. Do you plan to upload more language and not just English?
I've thought about it, but the only issue I'm the editor, and I fulfill almost, like, for most of these films I fulfill all the roles, meaning that's a lot of work. And I don't know any other languages besides English, so I myself can't translate it. And the next time I go back to these projects to like because some of the older ones have like really terrible exports, because I was working off of like a laptop, doing like through VR recording and doing all this stuff. So it's just like we're planning. I guess the best way to answer is that eventually after this next thing we're recording, we're going to be going back and reshooting episodes 1 through I think 8 now, and we're going we have revised scripts for them so that it's more in line with how we're writing currently. And with that, we're actually removing text boxes so that they can be dubbed. So they can be, I think there's going to be more accessibility with some of it, because not every episode uses it properly. And it also adds a lot of work that it's a lot of work for a limitation on your audience. Because you have that problem. Like, if you can't read English, you just can't. Like, there's no option. There's no way you can't add subtitles on top of subtitles. You know? So it's like nobody could just go in, like on YouTube, if somebody watches it and they want it to be in Spanish, they could upload a subtitle for the whole video if it was dubbed. And then there you go. Now it's in Spanish. You can have the subtitles in Spanish. It's awesome, but you can't do that. It's weird if you do it how it currently is. So, I have thought about that.
Yeah. So let's say there's another YouTuber that just dub your video. Are you going to be mad at them?
I would definitely want to be consulted.
Sure.
If someone else goes through the effort of actually like text boxing it, that would be, or like redoing all of the timings, doing all that stuff, that would be awesome. I would appreciate. I probably would let them post it, as long as it links back to me. I would just need to be consulted. Like,
what about
I would definitely want to be. Oh my goodness! If people want to voice it, that's freaking cool. That once again,
we never know.
Same thing. I would just want to be consulted. And I would also probably talk to them, because once again, I'm reshooting a lot, because my earlier stuff it's a lot more rough. So I want to have that. I think this for that problem, like dubbing it with a different language, I think that problem will get solved inevitably anyway. Because I do plan to have the mix and the dubbing be separate so that I can, if anyone does want to dub it, I can just send them the file and the mix, and then they can go at it.
Right, yeah. Good question. Thank you, Fernanda.
Yeah, since the beginning when I started to watching it, I'm like, oh, since it's just text, you can be any language, you know.
Yeah. Just takes a village, huh? you gotta have the people to do the work. Yeah. But really good question. Bonito has a question, and then after your question, Bonito, I think we'll wrap up there. But please come join us. Hello.
All right, I always have questions. Hello. Great work, everybody. I was curious about the character creation / design. I haven't seen all of the series, but I'm curious, what drew you to the base meshes that you used, and are the colors and the hair meaningful? Yeah, that's.
For a Snapshot of You, the characters were designed with they're one of the few times where technically all of them are designed for the series, because those ones were made 3 years ago before the thing was filmed. I made them as public models. I chose a lot of the Nanachi based base just because that's what I prefer for my avatars, and I wanted to add public quest compatible avatars because at the time there was none. There was no and if they were quest compatible, they were heavily just neutered, and it wasn't great. So I wanted to add options to people, and so I made these models that were more minimalist in their design, so that people could just fit in, and I would add bios and things to the characters because I knew I was going to be making a series off of it. And so with this film, normally the hair is just what is openly available that I can use, because I can't do 3D modeling, but I've done all the designs. I've done all the substance, the retextures myself. And with Snapshot of You, I did search for specific hairstyles that sort of complement the character, complement their personalities. So that it was the hair is intentional. The designs, I once got a question that was whether the designs are intentional to the story, and they're not. It's just if you have a connection of the design of how they look with the story, then that's more interpretive. But it's more supposed to be these are just two people, they're very cute, and they get along, and they end up forming a connection.
Okay, thank you so much. Great work, guys.
Nick, great question. I think that's all we have time for. I want to say, before I say thank you to all of you, I want to say a huge thank you to